Some days you're all sunshine and blue sky, you're feeling happy, you're feeling good, but then there can be this fog that just kind of creeps up on you and you can't really explain why you're feeling that way, or you're going through something's going on, and then all of a sudden you can't see anymore. Everything's fogged up, everything's white, you can't see, and you wonder, is there ever going to be blue skies again? You might be feeling down, sad, depressed. I've been going through something lately and I'm not feeling like my smiley, happy self all the time, and sometimes the best thing you can do is just get a shower, take some deep breaths, make yourself feel good. Tin Sky has sent me their Sky M200 model to try and see how I like it compared to their other model, and I really do like this, and this is the hairdryer I'm going to be using today to just kind of put some life into my hair and make me feel a little extra special. It has the different settings like the original one that I have tried. It has low, medium, and hot, depending on how fast you would like to dry your hair. I like to go upside down. One of you guys gave me that trick to have more volume to your hair. But it helps with the feeling to be able to look in the mirror and be able to say, yeah, I look good, feeling better, I'm gonna have a good day. And sometimes just feeling your best and putting forth a little bit of effort can really help change your attitude. So I'm going to be putting on some CBD cream that I have just to help loosen my skin up, get prepared for the day. Sometimes when you're in a bad state of mind, it's hard to even get basic things done in the day, like feeding the kids and showering. So take it easy. Do your everyday routines. Don't push yourself to do anymore. Take that extra mental health day if you need it, because that's what it's there for. And I've been taking a couple of those days just to kind of get my head straight. So after I'm done getting ready, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. One of you guys, Sue, sent me these 2 different types of coffee, and I thank you so much. It really helps to know that I have people out there who really care about me and who spoil me and think of me. I really appreciate it, and it really makes my day, and it makes me feel special in times when I don't always feel so special. So thank you for that. Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have another Food Bank stories for you. Now, these are stories that people have personally sent to me for me to read to you guys, just to show that you're not alone in food insecurity, in food struggles, in providing for your family. Like, hard times have always been here and they will continue to be here. And it's just a matter of modern hard times, right? Like, every generation seems to go through some sort of hard time, and the current generation is no different. So this is just a video showing that you're not alone. Other people go to the food bank and it has either benefited them or they've had disappointment with it. I hope you guys don't only get inspired by other people's stories, but just a sense of relief to know that you're not alone. Before we get into it though, will you please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Every like, comment, share, it really helps support my channel, and I appreciate it so much, guys. All right, let's get into these food bank stories and let's see what you guys have to say. Let me get us some coffee. This is the Hawaiian brand that Sue sent me. Sue, you're so good to me. Sent me 2 different types of coffee. That's what I'm drinking this morning. It's getting me going. Thank you. You guys speak my language, that's for sure. Story number 1. This is from Pam S. I first went to the food bank almost 7 years ago when my husband started his journey to get his disability. I was already receiving mine, which is covered very little. When they were 3, my son was in college in my home. I called a nearby church from a website that I found on a random search. They were a Methodist church, and I felt very awkward going in, thinking they would preach at me. But that was far from the case. They were wonderful. I got several meat items, a free produce, along with canned veggies and boxed food. They would make sure you got milk, eggs, cheese, bread, and a random sweet treat. We shopped till we dropped. When the pandemic hit, they went to drive-through with a checklist, but still maintained their lovely demeanor and large selection. I really enjoyed just stop and go shopping. My husband did finally get his disability, and my son graduated college and got a great job, so everyone now contributes to the food budget. It still gets tight when things break down sometimes. Recently, we moved out of the area of that food bank and had a hunt for another one. I found one, but sadly it wasn't anything like the one that I had went to. They give out the bare minimum, and sometimes things are too out of date to be safe to eat. They will give you 1 bag of chicken legs and powdered milk. Ah, I go to get this sometimes, but it really doesn't help a whole lot. Man, that is disappointing when it's hard when you go from a fantastic food bank to one that doesn't have as much support and can't run as well. I really think it's like the support of the community and the volunteers that make or break a food bank, you know? I have looked for other cities in the county for other pantries, but this is the only one in 20 miles of us. Wow. I'm hoping that one day I will come across another pantry like the first. Yes. I don't regret going in any way. They are there for everyone in need. I still need to go, and if you need to, don't be embarrassed. Just do it. Good line, Pam. I have never been judged for needing help, and sometimes the one doing the serving are also receiving. That is so true. I hope this helps even one person. Love and blessings to one and all, Pam S. Thank you so much, Pam. I think that was a good story. I like that you had the 2 comparisons of the food bank that was stop and go or easy shopping, and then the one that you didn't really get much or it's food that you can't use. Like, because I hear different experiences from all types of people on all over the world about what their food banks are like. So thank you for sharing those 2 comparisons. I hope you find a better pantry too, or the other one has more opportunity to grow as a food bank source. You know, we're all still kind of looking for ideas on how to help other food pantries get better, you know, because mine is a pretty great one as well. And that would be a good model for other food banks, but I know they get a lot of support from their community, so thank you for sharing your story and your experience with us. I really appreciate it. All right, this is story number 2. And this is titled, Not a Food Bank Story. Well, all right. I like the way we're starting right here. Good afternoon, fellow Montanan. I have been following you for just over a year now, and I just wanted to write and praise you for your efforts in breaking the stigma around accessing the food bank. Aw, thank you. A lot of people have this idea that food banks are for the lowly or the homeless. Tell me this, what would a homeless person do with a package of frozen chicken, a bag of rice, milk, eggs, or a can of tomato sauce? This isn't practical unless they have means of cooking these kinds of items. Yes, that is a great point. Like, I try not to be mean when I point that out, but what is, you know, a homeless person going to do with a 40-pound case of raw bacon versus what can a family do who has the means to utilize that going to do with it, you know? The food pantry certainly serves those that are low income, homeless, etc., but this is a beautiful resource for the working class that can access food they can prepare in their home. Food waste in America is appalling, and just because you can afford to go to the grocery store doesn't mean you shouldn't look into the food banks. My local food bank has 0 income requirements, as they should. Mine does as well. None. When you sign up, you simply provide a photo ID and how many people are in your family, names and birthdays, that's it. See, in mine, you don't even need the ID or the birthdays or anything. They ask how old they are and they ask their names, but other than that, you don't need any other kind of personal information. You can be wealthy and still visit the food bank, and they encourage community members to do so as it saves thousands and thousands of pounds of food from going to the waste. Local farmers, vendors, and grocery stores donate milk, eggs, bread, mountains of produce to the food bank, and if it's not distributed, sadly, it spoils and gets thrown out. You are truly doing a service to the planet, your wallet, and your plate by utilizing the food bank, if possible. When I was growing up, my grandma received communities, and was considered poor. I remember feeling embarrassed to visit the food bank with her because there seemed to be a shameful stigma that came with it. And I appreciate that nowadays people are more openly accessing it without feeling judged. There is no shame in being poor and no glamour in being wealthy. We all come into this world with nothing and we all leave with nothing. Our caskets and urns all hold the same thing, and the where and how you access extra food for yourself and family won't matter in the end. Wow, you're so right. You know, it's great putting it into words. You're a good writer. Moreover, even if you can go to the grocery store and just buy whatever you want without having to budget for it, people should still look into going to the food bank if they qualify or if they aren't any income restrictions, because they really do help stretch the dollar. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. We've got 3 kiddos, 16, 13, and 10. Well, 3 years apart, pretty good space. My husband owns a construction company and actually does quite well. We live comfortably and don't ever go without. Confession. I use the food bank twice a month. Before anyone comes at me with their pitchforks for acknowledging that we don't really need to, hear me out. Using the food bank and getting things like milk, eggs, bread, fresh produce, meat, etc. allows for my husband's hard-earned money to be spent elsewhere, like taking the kids out to ice cream, visiting the local water park, going out to see a movie, or filling the truck up with gas to take a drive into the woods. Yes, these are luxuries. We are a family of 5, and not everyone has a sustainable bank account and can drop $80 on movie tickets or $100 to get into the water park. But if you're saving money on groceries by going to the food bank and accessing food that would be otherwise thrown out or left to spoil, you too can enjoy some luxuries, even if it's just splurging on a nice cut of steak or a trip to the ice cream shop. I know there are some that truly rely on food banks for their next meal, and I sympathize with anyone who is on that kind of budget. But keep accessing the food banks. That's what they are there for. My point here is all families are different. For some, it can mean the difference between keeping the lights on or paying the prescriptions. For some, it means a new pair of shoes or hand-me-downs. For my family, it's maybe we don't get ice cream this week after dinner, or we don't get to see a movie we've been dying to watch this month. Either way, it's no one's place to judge, no one's business how they feed their family, and no one should have to explain themselves as to why they're justifying the use of a food bank. Food is a necessity, whether it's free at a food bank or we pay for it at the grocery store. We all need food in order to survive, so don't ever hang your head if you use the food bank, whether you need it or not. Thank you, Carolina, for being so genuine, outspoken, strong-willed, and open. You are a beacon of light, and I appreciate your content. Keep pushing forward to break the cycle of food bank stigma. Man, thank you so much. That was a great story. And I definitely understand why you do it. And it's the food banks have so much food, and some of them run out because they don't have as good of a community volunteer support system. But there's so much food, especially now that I'm in the food bank volunteering. I can see how much food waste there is and how much still gets thrown away. Like, we try and feed extra food to the goats and have a goat bin, but there's still a lot that gets thrown away. So thank you for that. Go to the food bank, even if it's just to save money to spoil your kids a little bit. You know, you guys deserve it. The working poor deserve to have treats too, right? All right. Woo, need a coffee break after that one. That was very well written too. Thank you so much for sending me that. All right, this is story number 3. My food pantry story. Hi, Carolina. I'm Dottie from Wisconsin. I enjoy your vlog, you and your lovely family. I started a few years ago going to Ruby's Pantry. We paid $20, now it's $25, for about 70 pounds of food once a month. They are based out of Michigan and serve Wisconsin as well. The money went for gas and the church. Everything was donated by different companies. I started to go to get help for my grandkids. At Christmas and B-days and other holidays, I would gift them bins full of food and essential items. Oh, that's such a good gift. As a grown adult child, I do appreciate when my parents are like, hey, you want me to buy you some stuff at Costco? I'm like, you're gonna buy me my Costco trip? Yes. So that is awesome that you do that for them. I know they really appreciate that. They all loved what they got. My hubby and I had a huge garden. I did a lot of canning and prepping. We used to go for rides and count deer and take extra produce to family and friends. Sadly, my hero died 2.5 years ago. I'm so sorry. I'm now 69 with 2 bad knees, so I don't get around much and no garden. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Living on Social Security doesn't pay well either, so my son goes to the local food pantry for me. Getting those blessings brings me to tears every time. He says they treat him great. I'm grateful they are there, but I miss being the giver. Blessings to you and your family, and thank you for listening to my story. Oh, Dottie, thank you for sharing that. I understand it's hard going from independent, taking care of yourself and providing for people, to now all of a sudden you needed to be provided for or to be helped out. I mean, I feel that transition, you know. I guess that's like, I see that a lot, mostly in older men, the stubborn ones who think they can still lift up that half of the desk, be like, dude, dad, I can handle that now if you want me, you know. But I get that. Thank you for sharing your story. That's awesome. I've heard of the Ruby's Pantry before. I wish that would be offered more nationwide. That would be very nice. So if anybody else has any kind of stories like utilizing the Ruby's Pantry, or maybe any discount shopping you do, any kind of tips to help people save money, know what resources are out there, and just to help everybody get through this food insecurity crisis. You know, we really are going through a crisis right now worldwide. So everybody just needs to band together and help each other. So if you have any advice or any stories that you feel would be helpful to somebody, please email me at mamabairdspantry@gmail.com, and I would love to read your story out for everybody to hear, or your advice, whatever it is that could help us stick together and get through life together. That's what we need. More support, less hate, right? All right. Thank you, Dottie, for sharing your story. That was fantastic. Story number 4. This is from Rachel. Hello, my name is Rachel, and I have a food pantry story that includes my family. A bit of a background information is I work full-time as a baking and pastry chef at a small grab-and-go restaurant. Oh, that's awesome. That's hard work. I have a daughter who is 17 and a disabled husband. I also go to school part-time. Oof, geez. I want to become a social worker, working with food insecure people or people in the food industry, because there is a strong need for mental health counselors in the restaurant industry. I barely make a livable wage for my family, so we utilize food pantries around us. Wow. You are right that there is definitely a strong need for mental health counselors in the food industry. I have been there myself as being a bakery worker as well as a line cook. The food industry is a lot, and it would be nice, more than just having a HR rep, you know, to be able to talk things through in the workforce, you know. So you utilize food pantries around you, okay? I do make homemade items such as bread and tortillas, but who wants to do that working with food all day? Yes, but it's not enough even when I stretch my dollar. We used to go to specific pantries at the time, but now sometimes we go to bed without eating. Aww. You see, pantries aren't easily accessible in my area. The largest pantry in my area for people who have food stamps, and we do not have food stamps. What? I make too much. Wait, so you only have a food pantry so people can get food stamps and go to the food pantry, but people who don't get food stamps can't go to the food pantry? That doesn't seem right. Because I don't qualify for food stamps either. That's why we don't have them. So I utilize the pantry. That's how it helps. Like, if I did have food stamps, I probably still would utilize the pantry, because then that would help stretch the food stamp dollars, you know? All right, I make too much. We have to go to food pantries that take people without food stamps or with no income limits. It's really hard to find them, or it's sitting in lines for hours. Yeah, because that many other people need help too. Man. Those pantries barely have meat and veggies, and mostly consist of rice, canned items, cereal like oatmeal, and maybe some mac and cheese that need butter and milk to make. Yeah. It's hard to feed a family without protein and veggies. It really is. And like, that's why I go to mine, is for primarily for the meats and the protein and the dairy, because that's what costs so much at the store. And it's hard to provide that for yourself, you know? We still live in food insecurity, but we deal with it. I go to pantries where I see there are advertising, but the small churches barely have email systems in place to remind people of their days for food giveaways. Aww. I wish this could have been a positive, uplifting story, but I believe people need to know that it can be hard to find a good pantry in their area. Food insecurity is still happening. People are fighting to keep afloat. It's important to keep bias and judgments out of giving. Giving is meant to help without return. Oh, you're so right. I hope that some of you listening can relate so that they don't feel so alone. I'm sorry if this was jumbled. I'm writing it quickly and want to get my thoughts down. I did have a request. Could you do a food pantry day using minimal ingredients? Maybe used canned items or shelf-stable items that others get in their food boxes? I'd love to see what you can make. Thank you for reading this, and I look forward to watching more videos in the future. Thanks again, Rachel. Aw, thank you for sharing that, Rachel. And you know, that is a good point of view that you bring to the table, that not all food banks are created equal. Not all food pantries are like mine, that have a system in place to get the produce. Like, they have farmers who specifically grow food to donate to the food bank, and that's part of the system. That's part of the community that they have in place. That's part of what the representatives have set up for Missoula, is to have that system, and not every state country is on that level. And so thank you for pointing that out, Rachel. And I know that it's hard to find good pantries. So if you have a similar experience where you're having tough luck finding food pantries, maybe leave a comment below about where you're at, and if someone has any good resources in the area, they can help you. Or I also have a Facebook group, Mama Bear's Homestead. We do a lot of sharing and support over there as well. So if you have any questions or concerns, or you need some help, go over there. Me and my group, we got a really good support system over there, and I'd love for you guys to be a part of that as well. As to your request, Rachel, I can totally do that. Could you do a pantry day using minimal ingredients? I have actually started already cooking with canned goods, and strictly canned goods, or ones that maybe stuff that I have canned myself that you could use a commercial canned good in replacement of. So I am kind of starting that as well, and I want to do like a rice series video. I want to do a lentil series video. If anybody has any requests on a certain maybe food that you need, I've also gotten a lot of requests for chickpeas or garbanzo beans, on how to use a bunch of those. So you can also comment below a request of what you would like to see me focus on primarily per video. I would like to do a couple of those as well. Well, thank you, Rachel, for sending us that story and letting us hear a little more on your side of how not all food banks are created equal, and it's hard to find good ones. And the limit-based ones, I really feel like those need to go. This is story number 5, and this is from my friend Les. She actually has a channel as well. I will leave her channel. I want to make sure I say it right, and I don't think she mentions it in here. So I will leave her channel here, but it is, and also linked below if you would like to go give her channel some love and support. Les says, the first time I used a food bank, I was quite young and basically living on the street, couch surfing. Back then, you didn't get much. A box of KD, a can of soup, a can of tuna, a package of noodles, a cup of milk, a loaf of bread, and a mini jar of peanut butter. It kept me fed. Fast forward a few years, now I'm 18, living on my own and supporting street kids, utilizing the food bank, and we'd scrape change together for meats. Now I'm 20, pregnant, in an abusive relationship with a non-provider. Oh my goodness. I again started utilizing the food bank. By this time in my life, I was quite a bit better. As a pregnant person, I got the shopping bag of staples previously mentioned, as well as a liter of milk, some fresh fruit, cheese, eggs, a meat, and a handful of diapers to start stocking up on. This was so helpful until I started doing daycare and able to provide for myself and my young child. A few years later, I got pregnant again and was on bed rest. My kid's father had, unbeknownst to me, got into drugs, spent all my money on drugs before giving birth to my then youngest child. Whew. Leaving me with no food for my toddler or myself and no diapers for either baby. Aww. Again, I turned to the food bank. I used the food bank weekly for years while my kids were growing up to supplement their lunches and help stock my cupboards when times were tough. For many years, the pickings were pretty slim. Now our food bank has a food recovery program that collects food from local stores so clients have access to fresher produce and meats. That's what mine has as well, a food recovery program or food rescue program. That's a good program. That I think that's the program that we need to start implementing in the food banks that don't have much from the store. The food rescue program would be what is needed, I believe, to start getting more food. Maybe we can start asking, our mayors and stuff to be like, hey, why isn't this program in place? Start putting pressure on people. That's how things change. Okay, yes, now our food bank has a food recovery program that collects food from local stores so clients have access to fresher produce and meats. I don't need to utilize the food bank as often now that my children are adults and able to provide for themselves. But I'm super grateful we have an amazing food bank to utilize when I do need it, or during harvest season when they have big boxes of produce on an all-you-can-take days donated by local farmers. The other day I was blessed with a butt ton of cucumbers, and I got 17 quarts of pickles on my pantry shelf. Yes, I remember you. You made that video on that. When it's left over at the food bank that's not fit for human consumption gets donated to local farmers for their animals. Yes, diverting many tons of food from the landfills. Anyways, super grateful for our food bank's service, providing many, many meals for family over the years. Thanks for reading. Well, thanks for sending Les. And not only did they provide meals, but they were given diapers. Like, there's diapers and tampons. There's Depends at my food bank. They have soap companies that donate for them. It's all kinds of things that really just help stretch your dollar. And this is stuff that normally would have gotten thrown away. I don't understand the shame in it. And thank you for sharing that, and for sharing how many times in your life you have had to turn to the food bank for help. And that's so awesome that you knew that was a resource from when you were young to be able to turn to that. And a lot of people don't even consider a food bank or a similar resource as something that could help them if they're in a situation. So thank you for sharing that, for how many times you use it and how grateful and beneficial it's been for your life. All right, last story. Story number 5. This is from Jennifer. Let's see, I think she sent me. Hi, Carolina. This is Jennifer, your friend on Facebook. Also a subscriber. I don't know why I'm giving you that voice. Okay. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for giving me your story. So here's my story. In 2010, I bought a house in Keensburg, New Jersey with my then husband. Now I'm divorced. Congratulations. I had a 4-year-old daughter. She is now 16. I can't believe I'm saying that. It happens so fast, doesn't it? Ugh. Well, anyway, in 2012, October 29th, Hurricane Sandy came and destroyed everything. We had to go to the attic and save ourselves or we would have died. Oh my gosh. Be that as may, our house was destroyed with almost everything we had. We had to leave and we became homeless. We lived with our sister-in-law for a little while, but then I lived with just my daughter at my dad's house. But right before we did that, we had no toiletries, we had no toothpaste, no paper towels, and the food was going rotten because there was no electricity. We had to walk to the middle school after it all happened, and we had to get all the staples and including food. There was just so many people helping. One man parked his car in front of the school and had like 300 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And my daughter sat at the bench next to him and said, "Hey, mister, why'd you make all those sandwiches?" And he just said, "Well, I'm helping the people that just lost everything in Hurricane Sandy." So I remember getting like 2 or 3 boxes of all kinds of food and supplies and clothing and toiletries just to get us through this horrible experience. The bottom line is, without food pantries and without the help, we would have not had any food because we were stuck in the house until we could get the help. And then we went back and we had nowhere to go until we found someone to help us stay with them for a while. All of our food was going bad. So food pantries are essential in this country, and I feel no guilt whatsoever for getting help at one of the worst times in my life. Wow. To this day, when I need extra food, I do go to 2 food pantries in my area, and when I don't use some of it, I redonate those items to blessing boxes, which is great because blessing boxes really help people who can't go all the way to the food bank. If you have one that's local to you in your little area, like we have one that's in our small town, versus having to go all the way to Missoula to go to the food bank. Also, I want to mention that I stayed at my sister-in-law's house with my then husband and my little daughter for about a week, but they started talking in Spanish about us and didn't want us to stay there. Your sister and her husband? Sister-in-laws? So I called my father and my father said, "Come on down." That's awesome. So me and my daughter went and we stayed there for 4 months. We lived in a musty old basement. My father, of course, is a good guy, but my stepmother, oh my goodness, that's another story. Oh, and my young brother is a degenerate, and he attacked me physically during one of the worst times in my life. Don't you just love family? Who needs enemies when you got a family like that, right? I'm sorry to hear that, Jennifer. So I stayed with my dad for about 4 months, and then he asked me to leave because of all the commotion going on. He paid for a hotel in East Brunswick, New Jersey, and what I did was stayed there only with my daughter because my husband at the time was staying with his cousin in New York and wasn't even spending time with us. Oh my gosh, you had like, you were pretty much by yourself in all this. So that's another story. But we had to get food again from food pantries because only breakfast was given to us in the hotel. And then in the evening we had to, eat dinner. I couldn't afford to buy food from restaurants every day. So I would go to the food pantries and even get gift cards for ShopRite. I even utilized food pantries during the time that I was homeless living in a hotel with only daughter during our Hurricane Sandy experience. So that's my story. You can't make this up. I love you, Carolina. You're the best. Hugs, hugs, hugs. Best regards, Jennifer. Wow, Jennifer, that is a story indeed. I'm sorry you had such letdowns with people helping when you really needed them. And that's really tough when you really start leaning on people and you find out that you can't lean on them. It sounds like you did a great job moving around and finding what was right for you and utilizing the food pantries when you needed to. You can tell you're a very strong woman and you sound like a really good mama. So thank you for sharing your story with me, Jennifer, and everybody who sent me their stories. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys got a little inspired, got a little relief, and a couple of chuckles out of other people's experiences. Thank you for trusting them with me. If you guys have a story, please make sure you email me. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for dealing with my bit of mood, and like I said, I haven't quite been feeling like myself lately, but Chin Sky is running a sale on that hairdryer and they wanted me to share the news with you guys. So if you're looking for a new hairdryer to help lift your spirits and your hair, make sure you check them out in the link below and use that special discount to receive over 50% off for a limited time. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time on Mama Beards.